Sorry, in theory, we are live again, and the stream, it looks like it's actually working this time. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know what the hiccup was. I didn't actually change any settings, but in theory, we are back, and it is telling me the stream is healthy.
I've got
Jennifer,
a 30-second delay, so
all right. So hopefully she will be able to spot us in just a second. Give us thumbs up as you discover things.
Thank you,
But so if you're tuning in just now, as of just a few days ago, I hit 70,000 subscribers, which is crazy because just a year ago, I was only at 4,000 subscribers. And so then it has been a crazy, wild year. And that's thanks to you guys. You guys tuning in, joining in, watching, commenting, liking, all of that fun stuff. It's been like this. It's actually kind of been transformative for my family, which... thank you guys so much for making that happen. It's been fun. It's been a wild adventure. It's been stressful. It's been every type of emotion that there is. And it's all due to you wonderful people. So we're doing a live AMA right now. My friend Andy's joined me. If you haven't checked it out, he's done several different videos with me over the last couple of months. He is a comic book expert. He knows comic booky type things because he knows how to read. I don't know how to read, so I haven't read comic books, but he's gone on deep into that stuff, so he's joined me. So I thought today would be a little bit fun to have him join me in on this one for a couple of different reasons, so we can have some nice banter back and forth, as well as because I'm trying to experiment with some ideas because I want to do a podcast in the future because a bunch of you guys have been asking about something like that. So I'd like to have a team for that. Right over here is my wife. She's running the chat board, so she'll be taking your questions this time for real because it's actually working this time, and so she can actually take some of your questions. I'm going to repeat myself just a little bit. I don't know if anyone actually caught the first version of the stream. I don't know what happened, but we kicked things off like 15 minutes ago, and then it didn't work.
We got this.
So, first question, while you guys throw yours in the comment section so my wife can collect it. Jackson Porter Reviews asks, do you prefer making actual movie reviews or ranking videos? What are the benefits you have found in ranking or regular reviews? So my channel's famous for doing ranking videos. They're watched way more than my actual reviews are. So which ones do I prefer doing? Depends on the franchise. If it's a franchise I know really well that I can dig deep into, a review's a lot more satisfying for me, where I know kind of the history, the background, and I can bring different perspectives into it. That's very satisfying for me. Like when I did my review of the entire MCU at the beginning of the year, I knew the history. Like I'd followed the movie news. I was like all that stuff. So I had all these little nuggets I could throw into the mix. However, like right now I'm doing the Harry Potter reviews, and they're kind of stressful for me because I haven't read the books. I'm reviewing them as a guy that loves movies, but most of the people probably watching them are Harry Potter fanatics. So they've read the books, they've seen the movies more times than I have. So I'm the guy in the room that knows the least about Harry Potter.
And my mom would like read them to me when I was a kid.
Exactly.
I read them to I'd say 5.5, Order of the Phoenix. It
was
good.
So he grew up having them read to him. Oh, that's not me.
I read them right after we got married.
Like she's read them excessively. And so it's just a different perspective. Likewise, I did a bunch of horror rankings in October. That's a good size for me. Like I can talk about my thoughts on a horror franchise for about 2 minutes, but I'm not the expert on that genre. I'm not the person that's lived and died the Halloween films like a bunch of horror fans have. And so to do a full review would be kind of stressful for me. Like I don't see the intricacies that a lot of other people do. So it depends on the franchise. It depends on whether it's kind of my sweet spot or not. Second question real quick, and then we'll dive into some of the ones you guys are asking. Valissa Taylor, who's one of my supporters over on Patreon. If you don't know what my Patreon page is, it's kind of like the Sean Chandler fan club or whatever. And I do like weekly live Q&As like this one over there on Sundays, as well as Patreon Hangouts, where you guys can actually video chat with me. So Valissa is someone I've actually video chatted with and spoken with her. She asked this, the way in which you watch movies now, so as a guy that reviews them, does it make it harder or easier for you to enjoy them? I would say it hasn't changed it much. As for just enjoying them. Sometimes it's more stressful because I know I have to have an opinion on it. And so sometimes I'll watch movies and I'll be like, oh, what do I even think about this one? So it adds like a stressful thing, but I still watch kind of dumb movies. I still enjoy. I'm pretty easy on most movies. It hasn't drastically changed. I watch a wider variety of films because I'm going to rank them and things like that. But I don't think it's changed what I like or don't like. I have a better vocabulary for talking about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get frustrated in the way... I don't feel like I'm great at rating movies because I like movies too much. And so sometimes I struggle with that. But that's about reviewing them. It's not about my actual enjoyment of them. So I don't think it's changed too much. It's just more stressful.
Well, and
so you're new to this.
Yeah, I mean, but even when you were, because for those of y'all who don't know, I interned under Sean at our church back in the day. And like even then, you always had a passion for films,
right.
and like were able to critically analyze them to the point that it would ruin films for me. Like if I actually tried to talk you, I mean, because you could point out really good stuff and I love it, or you could just dismantle a film like Bloodsport with John Bodclamp now, and it would just kill me on the inside. Yeah. Oh well.
I wouldn't attack Bloodsport. That's a classic right there. All right, what are we getting from the chat board?
So many things.
That's true.
I guess to bridge off of what Andy was just talking about, how long have you known Andy?
I think 9 years. Because I believe it was
high school. I was 16 or 17.
Summer 2009 at Rikers in Waco. I believe is when I first remember meeting you.
Oh my gosh.
For boot camp. So it's a church event thing.
Not the prison.
Not the prison, but it was like a prison, and it was a boot camp.
Under the prison, right?
Sleeping on the floors of a basketball court in a Catholic high school is where I met Andy. But I knew who you were before that.
I feel like there's a lot of jokes just coming from that. But
there's so many things from what I just said. But I knew who you were before that from seeing pictures of you on Riley's MySpace page with big gigantic hair holding a bass guitar. So
that's actually I never learned how to play bass guitar. I just
I didn't think
wanted
so.
to hang out with Riley really, really bad. So
and literally every sentence we're saying here is a big gigantic story.
Yeah.
Like this person Riley we're mentioning is like his best friend.
Yep.
When Riley got married, my wife was the maid of honor, one of those things. Riley's mom is my son's teacher, and Riley's dad was my boss for 8 years. And
Riley's wife's birthday is the same as ours.
And there's all these insane connections. So there's all these weird. Basically, Andy is the nexus of the universe, and there's so many more stories about Rikers of when I first met you.
Yeah.
From the Michael Jackson story from 2010,
we don't talk,
other things that we just can't because they wouldn't translate well. What do we got next?
Well, Andy is the man was a comment.
Yes. Wait a minute, that was offensive.
You're a real one. You're a real one. Whoever that was, you're a real one.
Against you. Okay.
Wait
Thoughts on Alfred Hitchcock?
So I'm not like an Alfred Hitchcock expert, but I've seen most of the classics, Psycho, North by Northwest, and things like that. And so obviously he's an amazing filmmaker. If you look at the types of things I talk about, cover, the things that are on my favorites list, I've never been like a classics type person. There's a certain pacing to films that started to change around Spielberg and Lucas in the mid-'70s. Somewhat Stallone thrown into that mix as well. That where movies started to change the pacing of the way they're done. And so I'm not as connected to a lot of the classics, so I can't dig in deep as some sort of like want to like impress you with my knowledge of Hitchcock or pretend as if I've watched a bunch of his films. I've watched like The Big Seven or something like that. The Rear Window, and things like that.
And actually, that's I just like because I don't watch too many classic films, but my favorite thing, especially when you bring it up, is I love watching a classic film and seeing how it parallels a modern film. So things like Interstellar, like one of my favorite movies, is going back and watching 2001: A Space Odyssey and realizing like how much it kind of had a foundation in it. But I haven't seen any Hitchcock films, to be honest, but I respect
any of them.
I've seen clips, supercuts on YouTube. That counts.
We probably should one of these days. Like it seems like it's now a weekly thing. You come over Saturday nights and watch scary movies that freak you out. We watched him and I watched Hereditary last week, and that was an event in and of itself. He was as entertaining as the movie. So maybe we can watch some Hitchcock in the future. What do we got next?
I don't want that.
Well, somebody said that you're the man, just so that...
Yes!
Yeah, so
Make him come back.
That's not fair.
And then Michael texted and said you should stop tapping the desk.
Which one of us is tapping the desk?
I think you were doing it when you were doing your list of all the things about...
Wait, like
so,
backstories?
Yeah.
So, when we interned, his partner guy that they had all sorts of antics, his name is Michael. He's actually the person that made these that you've been seeing in some of the background.
Michael made that?
Right?
Michael made these. And
Gosh, he's
out of-
good
like,
at that.
This one.
in this one, he just decided to pick up working with clay, and he just made those.
Actually, Michael's always been incredibly talented because I was one of his groomsmen at his wedding, and for
And
our
I
wedding
officiated the wedding. Our entire universe is connected. Next question.
Do you prefer Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
gift, Lord of the Rings. Boom.
I'm not a fanatic of either one.
So that's why I thought.
And that's where people
answer.
assume I'm a fan of both because I'm into fantasy, sci-fi, things like that. But I go Star Wars, I go comic booky stuff. But Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter ones I've never personally connected with. And so, what's you went with Lord of the Rings? What's your reason?
So this is funny, like because I'm into comics and fantasy and sci-fi. A lot of people always assumed I'd seen Lord of the Rings, but I never had. I kept falling asleep watching them until last year. Me and my roommate at the time, Trey, our current youth pastor, we realized we both had never watched them. We borrowed
Who
them.
replaced me? Everything's connected.
Because he was in high school when I was an intern, which was funny. But we just grabbed a bunch of Red Bulls, plowed through all three of them, and I felt like I was in a dream world of magic. I mean, these things are incredible, like just master classes of film. Other than the third Harry Potter movie, Prisoner of Azkaban. If you're gonna watch one, that one goes off.
But so if I had to pick, I don't know. I don't know which one I'd pick because they're both ones that I can respect that they're great. I can respect that they're important. They're just not ones that I sit down usually like, oh man, I can't wait to rewatch. Fill in the blank these ones. Yeah. There's probably Harry Potter movies that are a little bit more distinctly watchable than the Harry Potter ones, than the Lord of the Rings because they're so massive. And you kind of have to watch them together, so it feels like you have to do the Red Bull binge watch. What do we got next?
What is Andy's favorite movie?
Ooh, okay. Dang it. It really depends, because from a good fun. Okay, there's three. From a good fun action perspective, I love The Raid. The Raid Redemption.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because
the second one. No, excuse me, the first one.
Yeah, the first one. I mean, the second one was incredible, but the first one is just this, the story is a vehicle to take you through this SWAT force just going through this huge high-rise apartment and just decimating people with their hands. Plus,
so you enjoyed The Raid more than Dread?
Well,
because it's the same plot.
Right.
It's the same plot.
I have to say I enjoyed The Raid more just because I wasn't familiar. My brother's very into martial arts. And, I think he said the martial arts is an Indonesian martial arts called Silat. That's in the film Silat. And so he introduced me to that. And watching a form of martial arts that people just aren't used to with incredible choreography was amazing. And then number 2 was Pacific Rim.
Okay.
I love giant robots, man. I grew up watching Gundam Wing, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and one of my favorite anime is Gurren Lagann.
So all those questions about anime that you guys ask me, that's what Andy's for.
And then third is since we're talking about anime, one of the best films I've ever seen is called Grave of the Fireflies. It's actually it's so good. Yeah. So I lent Sean this because if you haven't seen it, watch it with someone because it's just a sad film. It's about this brother and sister in World War II, and it has nothing to do. Typically, when you talk about a World War II film, it always revolves around the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But this one is just about this brother and sister trying to survive. It's heartfelt. It's incredible. I really encourage it because it's just a masterclass. Can I say masterclass of film? I always say that. I don't know if it's an actual term, but I love it. I love that film. And then Interstellar. Gosh, I love it. I went on a date to watch Interstellar, and I forgot I was on a date because you hit the docking sequence, man, and heck, I even play the docking sequence when I'm running a little on gas, and I'm just trying to make it to a gas station.
All right, next question.
Someone suggested you call your interlocking worlds the Sean Chandler Cinematic Universe.
That's true. The Sean Chandler Cinematic Universe. It's quite in depth. It's crazy how interconnected the Sean Chandler Cinematic Universe is.
Someone wrote Titans. No context.
Oh, yes.
So, yes. So you watched your first episode of Titans today.
I did.
So I've been watching it. It's not as awful as the first trailer made it look. It's not as good as you could hope.
Yeah.
There's episodes that I've really liked, and then there's episodes that I thought were as bad as I thought it was going to be. The excessive attempts to be R-rated are excessive. I don't think the R-rated stuff works at all. There's things that like this latest episode. I actually dug this one. Maybe one of my favorites thus far because the team's starting to come together. Have you been watching it?
I've been watching it a little bit. The main thing.
How many have you watched?
Because it's I'd watched 2.
Okay.
And the main thing about Titans is I think it's ambitious. I think they're trying to play catch up with the the Marvel Netflix shows. But at the same thing, one time I really respect about it is they're not shying away with going deep into DC lore.
It's deep cuts.
Because Teen Titans, right? Teen Titans, the animated series, not Teen Titans Go. Heaven forbid Teen Titans Go. But Teen Titans went into the Doom Patrol and Beast Boy's origin with them. And actually seeing a live-action version, because I love Doom Patrol, specifically the Grant Morrison run. Grant Morrison is just an incredible comic author, but he waxes poetic on just some weird stuff. But seeing Doom Patrol, a live-action portrayal of him, is just incredible to see.
Real quick question that I got in the comments on my post about this. Austin Gaming asked, thoughts on Arrow Season 7 or Flash Season 5? Real quick on these ones, I'm okay with the Flash this season. I'm not loving it. I'm not hating it. I don't have a strong opinion yet. It's been like, okay, I'm interested in this Nora stuff, but I'm not loving it. Arrow Season 7, I think it's the best since Season 2.
Really? I haven't kept up with Arrow, so I didn't know it kind of picked back up.
For me, it has. Absolutely. Like, for me, if you've been watching my channel a year ago, I was saying I might be done with Arrow. 2 years ago, I said I might be done with Arrow, but I stuck with it. But seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, they all had some really big issues for me. There was a bunch of, they constantly had very simplistic moralizing about trust, and Oliver doing, team building lessons that you're like, this is for middle schoolers, middle school morality. And so it really bugged me.
And that's actually the problem with Arrow that I kind of have is the Green Arrow character was actually created by DC initially to basically be a substitute for Batman if Batman ever fell in sales. So it's clear that because Fox owns the rights to Batman, that they're really
Fox.
I think Fox, because you got Gotham,
WB,
right? You have it's really weird because you have basically. They're clearly using Green Arrow as Batman.
Yeah, and I mean the first season was Batman Begins, the TV season.
Yes.
I mean, there's a plot to blow up the Glades, which is the Narrows. I mean, it's a very
and even Ra's al Ghul comes into play.
But so this season they're doing kind of the Supermax plot line, where
Oliver Prison Break.
Prison Break. I mean, Oliver thus far has been in prison the whole time.
Yes,
and getting in prison fights, and so it's like 2 different separate storylines. And for me, it's really working. Okay. So anyway, all that to say, I'm really digging this season of Arrow. This is easily my favorite, just right out of the gate thus far since season 2. Next question.
Do you think Venom's success means Spider-Man's days in the MCU are numbered?
I got this. Actually, that's a really hard...
It's tough.
Well, I mean, basically, I think it affords an opportunity for just maybe some more interconnectedness, especially if you see Into the Spider-Verse coming out this December. Yeah. I mean, because Venom is going to be in that. Tom Hardy's reprising his role as Venom in the movie. So there might be a little bit more either cross-pollination between the MCU and the Sonyverse, but also, I mean... the MCU Spider-Man is clearly building up to the Sinister Six, which, the Sony Spider-Mans failed to capitalize on during both attempts to do it. And I think MCU, because of the deals going on, MCU has a lot more of an opportunity than Sony to capitalize on Spider-Man.
But it's weird because, Amazing Spider-Man 2 obviously was setting up Sinister Six spinoff. It was setting up Amazing Spider-Man 3. And then people had a lot of issues with it.
Yes.
But it made a ton of money. It didn't bomb at the box office at all. It's like 700, 800 million worldwide.
I think that was actually, this is going to sound weird, I think it was one of those convergence movies of a very okay movie that because it had a big name hero attached to it, it made that money. But then we kind of saw a reversal of that with Batman versus Superman, right? Because Captain America has beat the crap out of Batman versus Superman. So it seems like that was kind of the last string of faith for any movie that has a big superhero attached to it. I don't know.
Batman v Superman 2 also, people had issues with it, but it came out of the gate very strong at the box office. And so they're very weird ones of both of those ones came out of the gate strong, and so they didn't lose money, but they lost a lot of trust.
Yeah.
But so that brings us to Venom, which is this weird one where critics trashed it.
Yeah.
and then a bunch of people loved it. It's making money, and then a bunch of people hated it. It's just a very odd mix in it, but I don't know, because I don't know what... Because I guess there's one or two more on the deal between Disney and Sony.
Yeah, and
so Tom Holland's got a couple more, I think.
And that's also what's weird, right? Is because Tom already signed up for a 3-deal Venom movie, but the same thing kind of happened with the Amazing Spider-Man, right? Where Andrew Garfield signed on for a 3-movie deal, then it became a 4-movie deal, and then we only got 2 movies out of it. I mean, so there is literally Sony's too inconsistent with a movie series because there was supposed to be a Raimi Spider-Man 4.
Yep.
So it's just way too across the board.
Yeah, it's that's what makes it so tricky, is that it's not just money based, it's not just critic based. It's all over the place. And then the other thing that makes it tricky is that part of what led to the deal with Disney was that Sony, the parent company, not the film company, had financial trouble.
Yes.
And so they needed some safe bets. And so what's a big win? All right, let's team up with the guys that are knocking everything out of the park. So I don't know. There's so many moving pieces to it. I have a hard time thinking they wouldn't work it out because what is the fan base going to think if Sony's the one that says, "No, we're breaking off. We're not going to let you guys, we're not going to let them be over there anymore." And it's like this bad breakup. What side of us, the audience, going to take? We're going to side with Disney and the MCU.
Yeah.
Even if Sony continues to make movies that are technically in the same continuation of Tom Holland, we're going to be mad at them that they would do that because they set themselves up as the bad guy. And I just don't know why they would do that. So I could see them using it as leverage to cut a deal to where they have more freedom on their end. They control the property more.
Right.
But I can't imagine they're not going to find some way to extend the deal. Let's find some quick questions so we don't have some ones that linger on this one.
What cinematic universe would you choose to live in?
MCU. Wait.
See, MCU got... It's like our world, except you got cool technology that doesn't exist and aliens are out there. Star Wars, it just seems like you're going to die. That seems like a crappy world to live in. I mean, it's like super high technology, but everyone's like, is either totalitarian, fascism, and then there's like poverty everywhere. So it's
or genocide.
Genocide, planets being blown up. So Star Wars seems like it would suck. I think... I mean, MCU seems like that could be pretty interesting with the sorts of technologies out there, but...
I'm trying to think of, like, other big name. I mean, because there's a lot of interesting... Because you got the Tarantino-verse, too, right? I mean, which is a technical... I mean, it's a technical cinematic universe because it's really oddly interwoven. But that's... I would not
What's the mythology there? Because, like, the change the history in that one.
Right, because
they killed, obviously... the end of Inglourious, but
well, because it's like supposed to be an alternate history.
Yeah,
right?
But so
you got like Django is Django leads into I think Kill Bill, right? Because you got Dr. King Scholes, and that's an illusion. And then but that gets confusing because allegedly movies like Kill Bill are supposed to be like movies that would be in the Tarantino verse, not actually historical events that happen in the Tarantino verse. I don't know. That gets crazy.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple of super chats. I don't know if we missed these from a little bit ago.
I haven't seen them.
Michael Simon Lux, very sorry for the delay on this one. The Office versus Parks and Rec. Simple answer on this one would be that The Office has the best seasons.
Yep.
Seasons 1 through 4 of The Office are, I think, better than any of the seasons of Parks and Rec. But... The Office goes off the rails towards the end. It's wildly inconsistent. Parks and Rec is pretty consistent throughout. The first season's pretty weak, but then it after that, it's even the weaker seasons are still very watchable.
And like this is gonna sound weird. Like I love The Office, but I almost want to say Parks and Rec just because Parks and Rec, like you said, Parks and Rec season 1 tried too hard to be like The Office. But I think that's why I appreciate Parks and Rec because season 2 coming out of the gate.
Season 1 of The Office tried too hard to be the British Office.
Yes, exactly. So
it's literally the pilot's the same script.
Yeah. I think I gotta say, for me personally, I got different taste in comedy. So maybe Parks and Rec just because the comedy was a lot more dynamic with these like wild characters. Whereas everything was a little bit plainer, steadier in The Office.
Reginald Kelly also had a super chat. Once again, very sorry for the delay on that one. Do you think that Storm will be in Black Panther 2? I'm going to go with no. As of right now, with where we're at in the process of all of this and the confirmation of how far of with X-Men stuff. I'm going to go with no, simply because we just don't have enough confirmation of X-Men being able to be incorporated, as well as with what we know that they're doing with Black Panther. So I don't think so at this moment in time with the information I have right now.
I wanted to say possibly, but I gotta agree with that. Unless, like, in Avengers 4, we get this, like, weird timeline, like, convergence where we see the Fantastic Four and the X-Men illusions. Plus, in order to have that marriage between Aurora Monroe, Storm, and, T'Challa, you gotta have, like, a lot of back history leading into that.
And so it's one of those ones that, like, my theory for Phase 4 has always been they're going to add X-Men and Fantastic Four, and that's the way you can phase out Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, and not have to be them as our marquees, but you don't feel like you're losing anything. It's because if you brought in X-Men, everyone would be like, oh, awesome. Brought in Fantastic Four, oh, awesome. And so then it's like we're losing huge things, but we're gaining something really interesting.
And it actually gets a little dicier, because one of my kind of sub-theories has been that Marvel's going to start to rely on a lot of legacy heroes. Like, at one point in the comics, Shuri becomes Black Panther to take over for T'Challa. So that really, really, really makes things odd.
But so I say that's my theory for Phase 4, but it's like, it's also one of these stretched out theories of, like, we don't have enough confirmation yet. This Fox deal is a very long, stretched out thing. There's still Dark Phoenix out there. There's New Mutants. And so maybe that's actually like Phase 5. Maybe that's deep Phase 4. And so that's why when I talk about Black Panther 2, I just don't know. And there's also so much, we don't even have the trailer yet for Avengers 4. And so we don't know what kind of bomb that's going to be, both in just the premise of the film. Is it taking place several years in the future? That's one of the speculations out there. We just do not know.
I'm just reminding you I'm here. The super chat from the Magma Man.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean, out of a scale of 1 to 10, how good is Ben Affleck's Batman?
Scale 1 to 10? There's too many...
Yes, I want to hear this.
It's a really tough one, because there's different things you can rate him based off of. Because if you rate him based off of how intelligent do they make this Ben Affleck, well, he seems pretty emotional and kind of dumb, so that's not cool. He's also a killer. I'm not crazy about that, but he's also, of the Batmans we've had thus far, he's the one that the most I've been like, okay, that feels like a guy that's a brawler that could beat guys up.
Yeah.
Like Michael Keaton. Not a big guy. Like, that's a guy that, like, oh, Michael Keaton is Batman. You go, that guy's not, like, he can't kick a guy in the chest and send him flying backwards.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton can't do that.
Oh.
Ben Affleck, 6'4", 230 pounds of all muscle.
Yeah.
You kind of go, I'm a little scared of that guy. And so as much, that's not a necessarily knock on Michael Keaton, but in regards to one aspect of him, it's absolutely a knock on him.
Yeah. But 1 to 10, you got to put him on a scale of 1 to 10. Come on, let's go.
And if we were basing it off of Batman v Superman, I was a much bigger fan of his Batman in Batman v Superman than it was of his Batman in Justice League. His version in Justice League, it just took all the flavor out of it.
Well, he also got kind of, flanderized is the term, right? Like, he became like a comedic relief. And the thing is, like, the reason why Batman is so important in the Trinity, if you will, Batman, Wonder League, Superman is because he's the only human, the human in the Justice League. So he's kind of grounding because he's the only actual human in the group. He's not Cyborg, Flash. Everyone's a meta-human. So when you make him this comedic relief, it kind of cancels out the whole point of him being integral to the Justice League.
Yeah, there's just no flavor to his character, which was very frustrating to me. Yeah. Like, the things that I was like, the kind of this dark character that's trying to save the world and just blinded by rage that kind of made him kind of dumb.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting. It's an alternate take. It's like, I don't like him as, Batman as the Punisher, but there's still a psychology to it that I enjoyed.
And actually, it's funny because when we were going to on a mission trip one year, that's actually what got me into Batman as a character a lot more, because I was always like Marvel up until that point, is you gave me The Dark Knight Returns to read. And The Dark Knight Returns is like a lot of the character of Batman we were seeing in the... in Batman vs. Superman, which does not parallel Henry Cavill's Superman incredibly well.
No. So, if you got to give him a number, what do you give him?
I give him a 7. I give him a 7. I give Bale, an 8 or a 9. And I say that because Bale's character was, it just felt like Batman, from a moralistic perspective. But Actually, no. I give Bale a 9. I give Affleck an 8. He looked and felt like Batman, but like you said, he was too emotional and he was like too unhinged.
For right now, with where we're at coming off Justice League, I'm going like a 6.
Yeah.
If they come back with he's actually in Matt Reeves' The Batman, and they get back to, they take the good aspects of Batman v Superman version 1 and kind of take off a little bit of the Zack Snyderisms, the exact Snyderification of him.
Yeah.
We can get him back up there.
Yes.
I'm very pro getting him way back up there again. But as of right now, coming off of Justice League, they really took kind of some of my excitement out of this version that we have thus far. What do we have right over here?
Michael said, on a scale of 1 to 10, Ben Affleck's Batman is a Spider-Man 3.
Tell Michael I said, dude.
All right, so
he's watching. You tell him yourself.
Oh, whoa, Michael, dude.
That's how he knows.
That's how he knows what we're doing.
He's not reading your mind.
Oh, I'm not connecting those dots now.
So, Comic Book Fan Forever asks, do you prefer Marvel or DC?
Marvel. My dad really got me into Marvel growing up. It's funny because my grandma like threw out all his comics while he was in the military, and those probably would have paid for my college. Whatever. I'm not bitter. Either way, I always grew up Marvel, but over the years I started to go DC with stuff like DC Rebirth and a lot of the Vertigo comics. Because Marvel doesn't really have any strong imprints, right? It doesn't have any like strong ideas it's really fleshing out. Although it's got great characters like Moon Knight and Spider-Man and the Punisher. But I've gone DC. They've taken bigger risks. They've like really invented the character. And Spider-Ham, just a good classic strong character. But it's really up in the air. But I say I used to be Marvel and now I'm DC.
So for me, when it comes to just the raw characters, both the heroes as well as the rogues gallery, of just the source properties.
Yeah.
I would all the way DC. When it comes to actually the movies right now, Marvel's just knocking it out of the park.
That's a great
DC's really struggling.
And actually,
I don't get it. I don't get it. You got such great source material. What are you doing?
Actually, I'll split it down to 3 categories, right, that I'm going with. So for movies and media properties, I'm going with Marvel because heck, they just had.
Hey, Doggy Bo.
He was checking on you because you're upset.
They had Marvel. Heck, they even just had a killer video game come out for Spider-Man. Then DC for comics. DC for superhero comics, right? They've just got stronger heroes and properties. They're even doing DC Black Label, which is a lot more mature titles for characters like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And then 3 for actual comics is Image, which is like kind of
one more question.
Sorry, Image is kind of an indie label, which I love, but it's like gotten big to the point of like matching DC and Marvel these days. But those are my 3.
I want to know, if you had those comics that would have paid for your college education, would you sell them? That's what I thought.
Next question.
So no reason to be bitter. Do you like the Monty Python movies?
Yep.
I'm not like a huge Monty Python fan, but like everyone else, I've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, 1,000 times. And whenever I first discovered it, like everyone else that first discovered it, just sat around quoting it with my middle school friends all the time. So I went through that phase like everyone else. But I've never been like this massive Monty Python fan. Like as an adult, I'm not like, hey Jennifer, let's put on Monty Python. Like that's not a thing that happens. So
yeah, and actually now that I think about it, I've been meaning to watch Life of Brian forever. But yeah, I've seen the Holy Grail. I got that off of LimeWire and like downloaded to my Zune. And wait, is that like legal to say? Like,
I mean, you can say whatever you want.
Oh
You're
yeah, I like
confessing
download
to a felony and. Probably going to go to jail.
Dude,
FBI's watching.
I don't even use my Zune anymore. Like, gosh, I think it was ahead of its time though. But yeah, Monty Python.
Super chat.
Correct. What do we got? Thanks.
From Magma Man.
Cool.
Another question, Sean, because Henry Cavill's gone as Superman. Oh, yeah. Who do you want to play Superman now?
Clint Eastwood.
I'm not 100% he's gone. Because it's in weird limbo. I think that he's doing a negotiation tactic. I think that he wants Man of Steel 2, and they're like, let's do Supergirl. He wants to do Man of Steel 2, and they're like, hey, let's do Gotham Sirens. Let's do Birds of Prey. Let's do Suicide Squad 2. Yep. And when they hired him, and he was 28 years old or whatever, and, one of these up-and-comers, that's this cool career. But he's an A-lister now. Like, he can do all sorts of things. And he's tied to the DCEU, which has a lot of bad press related to it. and him as Superman, one of their two top iconic characters, and they're like, no, let's do all these other side things first. And so if I'm him, and I'm trying to figure out my career and what I should be doing with my time, I'm probably pretty pissed at what they're doing.
Yep.
They're making very weird choices. As a fan watching, like, what is taking, like, Man of Steel came out 5 years ago. We have not gotten a proper sequel to it yet.
Or even allusion to a sequel. Like, I mean...
it's not even on the table yet. So if they announced it today, the sequel would come out 7 years after it.
Well, not just that, but right, they pushed back Flash, they pushed back Cyborg, Green Lantern Corps. Like, honestly, the best bet for the DCEU, my personal opinion, they use a Flash movie to do the Flashpoint storyline. They just hard reset that crap because I'm personal opinion.
So I don't think he's necessarily out. I think he's doing negotiating tactics to try and get support for him.
Agreed.
Whether he is or out, I'm not really sure. As to your question, who do I want to play Superman? I don't want anyone that I know who it is. I don't want stunt casting. As much as I'm kind of pro Ben Affleck, I was negative on him in my score, but that's because I think he can do better, and I've seen him do things that I thought were better. I don't want a Ben Affleck cast as Superman. Obviously, because he's playing Batman.
Yep.
But I don't want an A-lister. I don't want someone that I look at and I think, oh, Ben Affleck's Batman. I think that leads to too many problems. I think they've done best when they've cast someone that I don't know. So when they cast Henry Cavill, I went, who's that? Oh, he was in The Count of Monte Cristo?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh, he's going to be in The Immortals? That's interesting. When they cast Christopher Reeve, you didn't know who he was, obviously, because we weren't born yet. But you know, like, he wasn't this A-lister. He was a talented actor.
Yes.
That's what I want them to do. And that's the same thing, my answer for Bond as well. When people are like, do you want Henry Cavill to be James Bond? No, I want them to get someone that I don't think of the actor. I just want to see them and think that character. That's one of the reasons Henry Cavill can capture Superman so well, is because I think about him primarily as Superman.
Yep.
Did you know who Daniel Craig was before?
I'd heard, because he was in Layer Cake, I was familiar, like, he was a guy that I was like, okay, this is a guy, okay, I've seen him in stuff before. And same with, like, Pierce Brosnan, well, because of Mrs. Doubtfire and Remington Steele, but
I was gonna say,
they weren't A-listers.
I don't have, like, a strong, like, I couldn't put anybody, actually, who was the kid in Call Me By Your Name? Cast that guy, Timothy Chalamet. Okay, maybe don't do that. But yeah, I don't have a strong direction. I like what you said, because that's what they did with the MCU starting out. I mean, heck, even Robert Downey Jr., or taking guys who had kind of trashed their reputation and giving them a second shot. And
so, like, you know, you could have a fresh take when you... Well, I mean, you could just go through MCU. You know, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. Like, these are guys that had been acting. People knew they had talent.
Right.
And you could watch Star Trek 2009 and go, whoever this guy is playing Kirk's dad, this guy's got a presence. He's barely in this movie, but you remember him.
Yeah.
Oh, it turns out he's Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, wait. I think Jen's saying we got a super...
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
I just hold it up and then...
She's making sure we know. So she's like, they cast all these people that were not known as A-listers, and when they cast Edward Norton, it led to problems.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's just, when it comes to these characters where the character is the star, you don't have to cast an A-lister to get people to show up. You have to cast someone that's right.
Yes.
And so that's what I want. What do we got over here?
Hold on, I lost it. It's here.
I see Burke, Bridgman. I mean, did we...
I asked if we did get one.
Thank you for the super chat, Burke.
But we don't have a question yet.
Correct.
So I'm trying to find it. But we do have...
Correct. Go for
it. Glad you're a DCEU fan like me. They're hard to come by. So just
a statement?
Just a
so what is your take on the DCEU?
Okay, hey, ZOMG ruler.
Quick ranking of them. Let's do that, actually.
Okay, I'm going to say my top one is... Oh gosh, Man of Steel. Like, I like what they were doing. I thought it had a darker tone and it could have worked, but they just kind of abandoned it. Number 2 would be Wonder Woman. You know, I thought they captured a lot of legitimate, like, joy and wonder and, like, a lighter tone in it. 3 would be Batman versus Superman. 4 would... Have they only had 4 movies come out? What?
Justice League and Suicide Squad.
Okay, so I'm gonna write like those top. I'm gonna do a top 10. I'm gonna put those 3 in 1, 2, 3, and then everything else like Justice League and Suicide Squad is going in number 10 because good freaking night.
Yeah, and that's pretty close to what mine is. I go back and forth on Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. They have different things about them that I like. I'd probably, at the end of the day, Man of Steel is probably my top one. And I like Man of Steel more every time I watch it. Every
Yeah.
time I watch Wonder Woman, there's little things about it that bother me a little bit more.
And I'll even go back and say, like, guys, these are just, like, our opinions, obviously. Like, because, you know, I got little cousins. I went and saw Suicide Squad with them, you know, and, like, stuff like that. And, like, here's the thing. Like, I just love watching them have fun watching it. So, like, I can give my critical opinions and all that. But more so, I just like watching people enjoy these movies and have their own opinions.
Let's try and fly through a few.
Where did you get your shirt?
This one?
Yes.
Amazon. You can go on Amazon and type in Star-Lord shirt or what. I don't even know. Like, you just go on Amazon and they've got multiple different versions. This is like the long sleeve t-shirt version. They've got one that's a little bit more, has more texture. It's a little bit more true to the movie.
Yeah.
And so they've got several different options for it. I think I got the middle grade option.
I like it.
Since I hadn't gotten big enough yet to kind of fill it out yet, so I didn't want to spend too much money on one that I wasn't sure about. And then I porked up over the last 6 months.
Real quick, I got Burke's question.
Nice.
Okay.
What future MCU movie are you most excited for?
Ooh.
Avengers 4.
Yeah.
I loved Infinity War. And as I said in my review, and I still feel this way, whatever they do in Avengers 4 could really hurt Infinity War for me.
Yeah.
Because it's the type of setup that's just so shocking with the universe that they could undo things and really hurt the mythology for me.
Yeah.
Or they can pull off the craziest, coolest... They already currently right now have the coolest cinematic universe,
Yes.
coolest franchise of all time. Not necessarily best franchise, but have 20 movies at this consistent level of quality, interconnected, and as of right now, it's really paying off. They've got the best thing ever. And if you tack on an amazing Infinity or whatever it's called, that just blows the mind. So the other ones coming out, they just, for me, they can't compare to just the sheer scope of the potential for awesome or awful that is Avengers 4.
And this is going to sound weird, but it's a tie for me for Avengers 4 and Spider-Man Far From Home. Because I really am looking forward, assuming Spider-Man Far From Home is like after Avengers 4, I'm really looking to see like, Peter Parker's like development as a character, like following presumably Tony Stark's death or like the dissolution of the Avengers or whatever happens. So I'm honestly just like on board. But Avengers 4, I'll go ahead and say Avengers 4 because this is the most ambitious movie coming out like in a long time. Just because you have to combine like 20 or so movies preceding it.
Well, you think
snowball.
Infinity War might be in certain regards the most ambitious movie ever made.
Yeah.
Because you just look at the
Hot take.
the cast. I don't even know how hot of a take it is. Because it's just what compares to the cast of this movie in bringing together this many franchises, and especially if you go and you compare what the first Iron Man is, and you add into the mix what Guardians of the Galaxy and the Thanos. What they're bringing together is so diverse and different, and so many characters. In certain ways, it's hard for me to view anything else as more ambitious.
And
in different ways.
Growing up with these films, it's like, it's just fun to have something like this generation Star Wars. You know, like I didn't get to grow up with anything but the prequels, so it's fun to like have something like to like show my kids when I grow up, or I don't know.
That's what's. Sorry about that. I got excited talking about.
Bottle of water
you got
there.
the
That's true. I'll probably give this bottle of water you brought me a chance right now.
Hydrate before you die.
But that's what's interesting. That you mentioned this. So when the first one came out, you're in high school.
Yep.
You were still had a couple years left to high school, and so these are like the movies of your high school and college years, and it's still going. And it's stronger than ever.
Yeah.
There's no comparison to that in film history.
But, I mean, also, it's just going to be exciting to see what comes next. Because there's a lot of people who, I mean, we're seeing properties get returned by Marvel. They've got Blade back. They've got Moon Knight back. They've got Ghost Rider back. And they've used some of those.
Maybe that's our next round of Marvel Netflix. Now that we've canceled a couple, maybe those are the next risks.
Honestly, that's another thing I think is going to happen. I think that they removed Iron Fist and Luke Cage. But I want to be hopeful in saying they're going to do, like, a Power Man and Iron Fist series. I mean, not series, but at least just like one season. But that's me being hopeful. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation what's kind of going on there. Is it some sort of they're trying to get them back for the Disney streaming, and maybe they'll come back in Heroes for Hire?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of that sort of speculation, but just with the ratings we're at for both of them, it seems like the more just direct interpretation is they saw it and the interest just wasn't there. But
And then there's been like the theories floating around, fan speculation about the Dark Defenders, right? People wanting like Moon Knight, Punisher, Ghost Rider, and Blade to all be on a team. I don't know how that would work, but it's been floating around out there. I just want to see a Moon Knight series or movie.
What's your dog's name?
What?
What's your dog's name?
Oh, that's Doggy Bo.
Bo.
I thought it was Scooter.
Well, this guy's walking up in the middle of video, so this is Doggy Bo.
He was checking on you.
When he's so depending on, buddy, come on, buddy, come. He's
now
he's right here. He won't jump up now. So when he's a good dog, we call him Doggy Bo, and when we call him Scooter when he's a good dog, and when he's a bad dog, we call him Doggy Bo. But yeah, he's old. So
he's not.
He's a sweet guy.
He's not super old. He's oldish.
But yeah,
he's outlived his two siblings that died. That makes him really old because he seems like he's on borrowed time.
All dogs is puppies.
So, if we get a couple quick questions, real quick.
All right, let me switch my screen. Imagine Adam Sandler as Batman.
Done. Deal.
Sean Chandler should play Superman. You need to work on your little, whatever that thing is, the curly.
The spit curl.
Favorite DreamWorks movie?
Shrek.
What movies did they do?
Shrek.
One of those dragon ones.
Okay. How to Train Your
How
Dragon.
to Train Your Dragon.
Why
Why would you not pick Shrek? Somebody once told me.
Have you seen Shrek?
I've only kind of seen
How
Shrek
have you
movies.
only kind of seen
I
Shrek?
graduated high school in the year 2000.
Yeah, and Shrek was still there for you.
And I was definitely not going to go watch the latest and greatest movie about a talking ogre singing
It
pop
didn't
culture
sing!
songs. There's
Shrek
songs in there.
Okay, yeah, Smash Mouth, yeah, okay.
So that with people, sometimes I get these questions a lot, like, "What? You haven't seen this animated movie that came out in 2002?" Like, no, I was very much not going to go see. Like, what are we going to go by myself and sit with like a bunch of kids? Like, no, that was not happening. And I was in particular, like, I didn't see Finding Nemo until 10 years after it came out.
If you could meet any YouTuber, who would it be and why?
Drake. That counts.
So there's
Like the singer, Drake?
rapper.
Oh, wow.
Okay, he's more of a singer.
I've got a bunch of friends on YouTube, and so my first inclination would be to list off my friends and say Cody Leach, Durbin, guys.
I wish Cody could come for the Halloween release.
So these are guys that I talk to almost every day. Another guy that Tyler Tompkins, but I met him, like, he lives.
I got to meet him.
You got to meet him. He lives an hour down the street, so I met him. So there's a bunch of there's 30 guys that I know, 50, a lot. There's like 100 guys that I know on here that, just because I actually know them.
Yeah.
So that's a quick, safe answer. As for the interesting answer of like famous YouTuber people, it's a tough one because back when I didn't have my own channel, some of these guys that had YouTube channels seemed a lot more interesting to me. And now that I kind of have some size myself, size to my channel, some of them, like, I just know how normal I am.
Yeah.
They don't seem nearly as interesting anymore to some extent. But John Campea is probably the one that kind of has similarities in the way he thinks
you
and
made
things
him
like
a
that.
jingle that he needs to hear.
That's true.
really
But I
sweet.
made a jingle for everyone, so.
I like his.
Oh.
But so that's kind of the one that comes to mind.
Oh, someone asked, what do you think about John Campea? So there you go.
What do I think about John Campea? I just so you know, I'm not going to trash anybody. So if you're trying to get me to like my,
That's not a good preface. Like, that's not a good preface. Like,
no, so I'm not saying that. Like, it's because I'm going positive on this one. But just if some people are going to throw things out there, like to try and, I just wouldn't. I have too big of a platform, and I'm not the type of person that wants to make my platform about getting nasty or anything like that. John Campea is kind of the one that got me into some of this YouTube stuff. When I first discovered him was way before even kind of he worked for AMC, but he was putting stuff on just his own channel before AMC let him do movie talk.
Wow.
And it's called For Your Consideration, and it was once a month, and it was tied with Collider, the blog Collider, not Collider as you know now, because even some of these phrases have changed meanings because of changing hands and things like that. So this is going back like 2011, is before I even met John Schnepp. And I just thought I liked the way he thought about things. Big picture, felt grounded to me. A guy that seemed to have a good, he is a fanboy, but he uses logic. And that tends to be the way I try to do things. So he's always been the one that I've kind of resonated with the most in regards to the way that he thinks about things and movie news like that. So that would be my kind of quick thought. Like most things where there's kind of movie news, if I sometimes I'll share his videos and things like that because it's generally the direction that I would go with a lot of that stuff, just because we think in similar ways. At least maybe I'd say something like that.
And,
do you even know who John Campea is?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Totally. But I'm gonna give him a watch. Okay.
Speaking of John Schnapp, someone said they wish that the Nick Cage Superman film was made.
Me too, brother.
So we got a super chat, another one from the Mega Man. Thank you once again. Do you think the Russos actually fired Mark Ruffalo? No, I think it's a really, on all levels, just kind of one of the silly examples of the way the internet works with stories and things like that. So
Fake news.
This is actual
Fake
correct
news.
hashtag fake news. But so, what's the rumor that he said the title of Avengers 4 on a show, and so the Russos fired him?
Yeah, but at the same time,
What does that even mean? They've shot the movie already.
The Russos also came out and said that the title of the movie was in a previous Avengers film or a previous Marvel film. So technically, it's already out there, and Ruffalo and Holland have spoiled a bunch of stuff in movies, and it's flown under the radar because people haven't believed him or caught it in interviews. So. They're bulletproof right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Well, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because a guy slipped up saying it doesn't ring true to me. It sounds like fun internet speculation to get us chatting. It doesn't feel like
also
reality.
the Edward Norton to Ruffalo switch worked, but they're not going to change a character.
You couldn't do it
0
now.
hour, yeah.
Like that early on switches and things like that. That's because they were figuring it out. But
right.
where the Marvel machine was 10 years ago versus now, I mean, they are such different. I mean, this is they crank out movies that make $1 billion every single year.
Yeah.
3 of them. That's they put out 3 movies in the first 2 years initially, or they put 2 out the first year, took a year off, and then Iron Man 2, and then it was not the same machine, and they were not $1 billion films yet. This is so much bigger, and there's so much more on the line that it's not let's get bad press because this guy might have said something on a show. I don't. It rings hollow to Sean.
How's the baby?
Oh,
It's right there sleeping this whole time, so it's fine.
She's sick right now.
She's sick right now. She does this. She's got the sniffles, but overall, baby's doing great.
How old is Andy?
Oh crap, man!
10 years younger than me.
Wait, how old are you? 36.
I turned 37 this month.
My man. I am 26 years old. I like long walks on the beach. I like dark chocolate because it has antioxidants. And I like eating a 1/4 pound of Jelly Bellies before I go to bed.
It's good because it'll shoot your blood sugar up, which causes an insulin release, which causes you to go to sleep. It also will cause you to store fat because that's a lot of empty
I'm
calories.
bulking. I'm always bulking.
Me too. That's my life philosophy.
Someone said you should make a movie, Love, Hate, In Between, a Sean Chandler story.
I'm with it.
Favorite part of doing YouTube?
I just like talking about comics.
I have to think about it now because it has so many different layers to it now. It's like a complex thing. This is what I've always done as a person that liked to watch movies and talk about them. As you can say, you were there back in the day. Yeah. Literally, when you interned, I made it a tradition that I would take my interns to the a big release right before we would go to the Navajo Nation, and so we went to go see Dark Knight Rises. And the whole fun for that. Had a big fun adventure about it, and then the next year after that, even as we're talking about Man of Steel, I snuck a group of students out to go see Man of Steel because I wanted to go see it at midnight, and so I took students to go see it. And so that's the person I've always been.
Right.
I was about to ask you if you know if Elaine is watching right now because she watches a lot of these live ones. And when she was one of my interns, I would that's where it kind of started was me grilling them on whether they knew enough about John Williams scores and things like that. So I've just always kind of been like this. And now my people are paying attention. People actually pay attention. It's not just me annoying the people around me. They're actually watching me as I do it, and I can talk in the comment sections with them. And it's opened up all these kind of weird little opportunities. Or, like, I took Andy to go see Venom.
Yes.
Wednesday, I'm taking my sister to go see Fantastic Beasts, and she gets to see it before it comes out.
Time out. Is it poor, like, streaming etiquette if I go use the bathroom real fast?
You can go.
Okay.
As long as, if both of us were to leave, that'd be bad streaming
Watch
etiquette.
our show.
You can go ahead and go.
You got this, Sean. I love you.
But there's just these neat opportunities that kind of come up. I went to Austin Film Festival a couple weeks back, and so it's just kind of, as it's turned out now, both I get to talk to a lot more people, and it's looking like it's about to become a career doing the thing I was already doing, which really is kind of the dream for everyone, is being able to do for a living the thing which you enjoy doing anyway. So that's kind of the thing, being able to actually get my ideas out there and actually discuss them, and people care, and I don't know, all the fun that comes along with all that.
Friday the 13th Part 3 or Alien 3?
I mean, Alien 3 is the movie I hate the most. Friday the 13th Part 3 is just kind of one more time with Jason killing people. He's got his hockey mask. So it just seems like a dull film to me. It's not like I don't have any hate for it or anything like that. It's perfectly watchable for me. All the Friday the 13th movies are perfectly watchable for what they are for me, whereas Alien 3 is a movie that I legitimately I hate what they did with the story and the mythology. With
Wait, was that David Fincher?
Yep, David Fincher's first film.
He's one of my favorite directors too. So that was
he got stuck with his first big film with a very ill-conceived sequel.
Yeah,
there wasn't really a win in it with what happened. I don't necessarily blame him. It's not like the directing's bad. The direction of the film and the story is horrendous. I hate what they did with it.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Can you do a video on the Pixar theory?
The what?
The Pixar theory that all the Pixar movies are in a shared universe.
Oh, the Pixar cinematic universe.
Yeah, and so then they're all kind of tied together, and there's all the. I think it's too late at this point in time. So if there's a new update to the Pixar theory, then perhaps I could do a video on it.
Well, because they got Toy Story 4 coming out, so.
So if there's some way in which there's some addition to it, new information that adds, but just generically, it would be. I don't have anything to add to the conversation, and so it'd just be like, "Hey, remember this thing that came out a few years back?" I try not to do too many things like that because people are like, "Why are you talking about this now?"
What do you want for Christmas?
A Switch.
Oh wait, just a sec. I got a list on my phone.
Of course you do, Andy.
I think the only thing on my mind is a Switch, just because it's a nice, get the new updated Mario Kart game. I can play with Liam and battle cars and things like that. But I don't. That's
bingo. Spider-Man for PS4. Some nice journals for writing. The Anatomy of a Metahuman by DC. Cosmic Ghost Rider by Donny Cates. Aviator sunglasses like Ray-Bans. A Noragi jacket. It's like a Japanese style jacket. A zip hoodie.
I guessed by the name.
A zip hoodie. And by the way, I'm like part Korean, so that's like kind of okay to be into Japanese fashion or something. So
I think you can like Japanese fashion even if you're not Korean.
Oh yeah, it's
right.
2018.
Yeah.
You're right. Some shorts, like a parka, some shoes, and then a bow.
okay. I like I said, I just want, I think, a Switch. There's so many things that, like, for me, everything's expensive that I want. Like we're shooting on a webcam right now, and so there's a thought that it would be like
shoots full.
It does. It does. I only do 720 usually because of hard drive space, but it does pretty well. I mean, it does really well considering it's a webcam. But I feel, especially now, I should probably upgrade at some point in time. But I don't want to upgrade to like a $300 camera. If I'm going to spend the money, then I want to go all out and get like the $1,500 camera. Well, that's expensive. That's
really
going to take some time.
Boom or bust.
It is, my laptop's like 4 years old. I have this hard drive problem that I just referenced 30 seconds ago. I'm missing the eye on, like, the computer I edit all my videos on. It's my old work computer that I have a second
How
keyboard for because I'm missing an I on it. So literally, that's if you read my comments where I have weird capitalization and things like that, it's because I'm typing with two different keyboards. One hand is using one keyboard, the other one's using the other, and caps locks don't transfer between each other. Like there's all these weird little things about my channel that have
backstory.
actually
Use the keyboard, the replacement keyboard.
Because it doesn't. It's not ergonomic.
He's just like this.
So this is much more natural.
Then you get to feel like a hacker.
Yeah. Like I've seen the movies. This looks way more legit than doing this sort of thing.
That's my favorite.
But so, yeah, like I need a new laptop. And so when I can get upgrade to like something that I get designed, like this is just a generic MacBook Pro. So it's a great computer, but it's not one that's designed to do 1,000 videos in 2 years. Like they're not designed for that at all. And so, there's a bunch of things, but those are all expensive. But if one of you guys are just like a huge fan and want to go all out for Christmas for the two of us, you can get him some aviators and me a $5,000.
That was shameless.
That was terrible.
But
that's not shameless. It's a Christmas present.
Just if you
that's
wanted
what
to.
the presents are for.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
My channel would be so much better.
This is ridiculous. Will Iron Man die in Avengers 4?
Dude, why you gotta kill the vibe?
Wow, that got
I was
dark
trying to
fast.
shut that one down.
I think Cap's dying. I don't think we're gonna. I think Tony's gonna stick around as kind of the mentor guy.
Yeah.
I think he might retire from his current stuff. But when they're setting up having babies and things like that, and him settling down, it seems awfully dark to kill him off at that point in time. So I'm feeling like he's gonna live. He's going to keep being the mentor, the leader guy, pass the baton. He's going to go raise kids or something like that. And so he can still come back to be a hero of sorts. But I think our soldier's going to die.
I was going to say, as a short aside, the Hickman run, Jonathan Hickman run, has this idea called the Avengers machine, which is interesting, which is each core Avenger has like a set of contacts, like different heroes that they use and like will contact. Like I think Spider-Man is on either Captain America or Iron Man's roster. So, like if they all stick around and become like mentors for these different heroes that are coming up, that could also be a thing. But I don't know.
So, we got next.
We have, what's your favorite thing about Jessica Jones?
My favorite thing about Jessica Jones, I mean, she's pretty. That's cool. And she's got like a punk style, so that's neat.
Yeah.
What?
I was in a bunch of punk ska bands, so
someone
I can
asked
appreciate
about your music. Yes. Yes, he was.
I can appreciate her style, I guess.
Someone asked about your musical preferences as well, so that flows nicely into that.
I mean, I already told you. I like Death Cab for Cutie. Death Cab for Cutie. I like Future, the rapper. Oh gosh, I like Borns. Like the guy who sings Electric Love. Not a lot of people like Borns. And Daft Punk. Love Daft Punk.
I can't even tell you what my tastes are. I know it's there's nothing I could say that would be worth sharing. I spent too long in youth ministry. And so then my tastes were shaped by pandering to high schoolers and middle schoolers for too long.
Drake?
I don't know. I couldn't name a single Drake song.
One Dance.
I remember that video where he's doing this or something like that.
That's like
with lights.
That's multiple videos. Oh, Kanye West.
But
Sean loves Kanye West.
I listened to the song "Shut Up and Dance" way too much during the day. When Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Like when it's just me. It's not like she's not around. It's just me, and I'm rocking out to One Direction's greatest hits. It's all embarrassing, but that's, of course, I'm trying to make myself look ridiculous, but it's kind of true.
You're doing well.
But I like a lot of stuff. I was in church world, so I listened to a lot of worship music, or used to it back in the day. A lot of punk bands, ska bands, rock, like 90s greatest hits. I listened to that a lot. 80s greatest hits. I've gone through phases with all the classic rock bands. I listened to oldies growing up. I've never really been into rapper country, but there's rapper country songs that I like. I listened to Dave Barnes, God Gave Me You, way too much. So there's not really any sort of pattern inside of any of this. It's all over the place.
And my dad was pretty much a cowboy growing up, so I grew up with Tim McGraw, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, and I still like some of that stuff. I listen to Johnny Cash a lot, but I really like this Australian band Gang of Youths that my friend showed me. They rock.
My dad was obsessed with the Beatles and John Lennon, like weird obsessed, and so I listened to a lot of oldies and. But yeah, so I got a couple of super chats real quick. The Magnum Man, once again, thank you so much, says, I think Joaquin could be better than Heath Ledger.
It's a question.
Think Joaquin could be. Do you think Joaquin could be better than Heath Ledger? I think when it comes to Jokers, there's such different interpretations that I think even the comparison gets tricky. Because Jack Nicholson, besides maybe being a little bit old and out of shape, did a great job for what that movie called for.
Yep.
Mark Hamill does an amazing job for what this animated version calls for. Heath Ledger, in this grounded, Heat-inspired rendition, does a great job.
Well, and that's another thing, is in the DC Comics right now, it was revealed that there's 3 Jokers, like 3 concurrent Jokers. It gets really weird. But I say that because, you have this opportunity to really capitalize on that with different interpretations, like Jared Leto, Heath Ledger, and Joaquin Phoenix. So, go for it.
So, do I think that Joaquin could be better? I doubt that he'll be long-term remembered as better than Heath Ledger, but I think that he can be another solid entry. Yeah. But there's also a lot of potential that Jared Leto could have been good. Just the movie he was in and the choices they made. But there's a lot of I don't put Heath Ledger on this pedestal that's like, well, no one could ever beat that. That's just the standard for what the best is. No, he did an amazing job at what that movie demanded. And I think someone else can do an amazing job at what a different version would entail. Subscribe to Kid Excellence. Also had a super chat and said, who's your favorite MCU character?
Actually, it really fluctuated over the years. The easy answer is going to be Iron Man or Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's, my favorite superhero in the Marvel universe, and I'm getting on it. It's a tie right now between Captain America and Thor.
I'm going to go with the Sovereign.
The Sovereign?
No. I don't know, Jennifer, who's my favorite? You're better at picking my favorites than I am.
No, I don't know.
Okay, what? Congratulations. Your favorite just became Magneto.
Wait a minute. MCU.
We'll allow it.
Daredevil's in the MCU, so I'll go Daredevil.
That's a good one.
I think they're all done really well. I've gone back and forth in my rankings between the two. I don't know what I'm pointing.
Yeah.
Iron Man and Steve Rogers have kind of been the ones that have been on the top of my rankings of the heroes. So those are the ones that I think have some of the stronger characterizations. Peter Parker's great, but there's a lot of. I don't like to pick favorites. So
yeah.
I'm gonna go with I don't know, but Daredevil's awesome. I've been watching that show recently.
It's incredible.
On Netflix, and I got his figure right over there.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I just got to episode 4 or 5. I was binge watching Castlevania season 2, so I've just been trying to catch up on a lot of shows. And Black Mirror.
Let's fly through some of these.
Okay. Have you seen The Exorcist?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
That and Hereditary really messed me up. Really messed me up.
And scary movies don't scare me.
Yeah,
so
I could tell. I was hiding behind my phone.
Weirdo, right?
Yeah,
I know.
I was hiding behind my phone, and for the past 3 nights, I've been checking every corner of my bedroom before going to bed. And here's the thing: I'm a swinger. Friends won't wake me up because, if I get spooked, I just come out swinging.
Okay, good. I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah. And if you're not, if it's not, it hasn't been abundantly clear, he's a very strong human being.
Thank you.
He is a very strong human
Strongest
being.
Avenger.
I have seen him pick someone up. Pick someone up by their neck, and I think it was Michael. You picked Michael up by his neck and held him up on the wall.
Michael, I love you.
And Michael's not like midget under weakling.
No,
he's a normal size human, and he picked him up and slammed him against the wall. So if he's swinging, that's not good. I don't movies don't scare me. I'll watch Hereditary and go right to bed. It doesn't faze me. Whenever I watch horror movies to do my rankings, I watch them late at night and I fall asleep watching them. Because I'm just not like it just doesn't like I'm totally unaffected on the fear factor when it comes to movies like that. Now, if it was like Human Centipede, like that would probably trouble me. Don't say what the movie's about. Jennifer doesn't know yet.
Wait, seriously?
Oh,
be careful in the chat board. They're going to spoil it for you. You'll love the plot line of that
Great.
one.
I'm going to blame you.
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Next up.
Have you watched Preacher?
Yeah. Actually,
No.
yeah.
This was
So I wish it were. I mean, part of the problem, and this is why I like the MCU, right, and the DCEU, is part of the problem with doing graphic novel adaptations.
Is that from Gareth?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. So it's by Garth Ennis. So this is funny. Back in the day, like around the 1980s and 1990s, Marvel and DC basically wanted to make their comics edgier, so they started getting like a lot of European, like from the UK and Britain authors. So that's why you have people like Alan Moore, Garth Ennis, and Grant Morrison, who started writing characters like Animal Man, Swamp Thing, and Punisher. So that being said, Garth Ennis came out with this really edgy series called Preacher. And yeah, I mean, it's literally about this preacher in Texas who gets the ability of the voice of God, so he can command people. For those who watch anime, kind of like Code Geass, but with his voice. Either way, yeah, watched it. I wish it were a little bit more faithful, but that's kind of the line you tread when you're adapting content. If it's like Watchmen, you know, it's fun to watch, but you already know what's going to happen. But if you like deviate a little bit, it makes it kind of rewarding to see where it's going to go, or to really get upset.
And then he did The Boys to out Preacher.
Actually, I was doing a list on a video I want to try and do, which is I want to do 5, like kind of review 5 shows that are coming out that are non-DC or non-Marvel. And Preacher was on my list because Amazon Prime picked up the rights and is allegedly making it next year.
If you don't know, we're working on building a channel for him.
Oh, good. That's been asked a lot.
So literally, once we finish this live stream, in what sounds like very stereotypical 1950s talk, Jennifer's going to go to the kitchen and make us dinner, and men are going to keep working. And we start working on a YouTube channel for him. We're going to shoot our first Andy King demo video.
Oh gosh, yeah! Please give feedback. I'd love to hear it, but also please be nice.
It is YouTube.
Comment section. It's not. It's the Wild West. What do we got next?
Okay, let's see. What is the most...
And I guess also on that point, if you want to, channel for Andy, give us your thoughts on that. Also, if you want to...
We've gotten lots of questions. Where to find Andy on YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
Where to find him, he's right here.
No,
our
what's
home
his
address
channel
is...
name? Negative, Ghost Rider.
I think my channel is probably going to be at Andrew King 3RD. That's my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's just, yeah. So that's going to be it. So,
hopefully.
But so we're working on that.
Yeah.
But so also the other one related to that, there's a lot of talk of wanting Sean to start a podcast. This sort of like, even Michael said he wants me to start one. 3-person team is a little bit of a test for me of does it kind of work. So give me your thoughts on some of that down below in the chat. Next question, please.
What is the most underrated movie of all time?
Scanners.
I was not expecting Scanners to be your answer there.
Actually, that's a good question, man. Let me ponder that. I mean, you're the movie guy, so what do you think?
But I'm not great with superlatives and favorites and worsts because I think about...
I got another list on my phone.
Part of what makes me good at evaluating things is because of this kind of big picture, different perspectives that I bring to it. I'm not by my nature this kind of very narrow, myopic person in the way I talk about things. I can understand where other people are coming from. That's why I can say things like, yeah, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. They're not my favorite, but I can understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the distinctives of me. But then when you talk about what's the most underrated movie, I start thinking from the perspective of... it's underrated for the masses, but in the film community, it's not underrated, or things like that.
Well, and when you get into that's the problem with when we talk about like rating films critically versus like enjoyment, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like I can go on like Rotten Tomatoes and see a film that's like got a 5 out of 5 or 100%, and like not a lot, from a critic perspective, but be bombed from a fan perspective.
So as an example, both of us really like Man of Steel.
Yes.
The John Campion we talked about, he uses the word masterpiece to describe Man of Steel. So, but it's got like a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. A bunch of you hate the film. So to Rotten Tomatoes and to a bunch of you, as compared to what we're saying, it's underrated.
Yeah.
But that's a difference of opinion. It's not like people haven't heard of the film. Oh, did you read the synopsis for Human Centipede?
No, Riley just got on and said, "Why does Andy hate anime?"
What the crap, Riley? I don't hate anime, dude. How are you? No, time out. How are you gonna come on this stream? How are you gonna come on Sean's channel and like act like you don't know me, dude?
Probably for that exact reaction.
Son of a gun, Riley.
To make it up to you, I think, Riley, you need to write a little 10-second musical theme for Andy's theoretical channel.
No, he's done that.
You've already got a musical theme from Riley?
So
Wow.
me and Riley in high school made this song, I'm So Solo, and it's like SOLOW, and it's making me, SOLO, and it's making me so low, like SOLOW. Then he showed that to the worship team at our church, and they all started like remixing it.
All right.
A lot
so
of
that's
really
gonna be
talented musicians at our church.
Indeed.
Did you see this picture of your roommate's brother that he posted today? Your roommate's brother posted this picture of himself on a camel in front of the pyramids of Giza today.
So that actually came up in our fantasy chat, and sorry, we
Anyway, Rabbit Trail, yeah. So we
yeah.
know some people that write music that are very talented humans.
I'm trying to think of yeah, we
Almost
Rabbit
under.
Trail.
I didn't answer the
under-
question.
yeah.
I don't have an answer. I don't really have an answer. I really don't. I'm looking
checking
because
there's got to be something on here that we oh my gosh. Gosh, dang
sorry,
it.
we're looking away from the
You
camera.
got so many film. You have Suicide Squad on Steelbook?
Once again, cheap.
Yeah, but
I'm a deal shopper.
Maybe Step Brothers. I really like Step Brothers. Oh gosh, there's like so many films here.
I have no clue. I have no clue what I would answer. I don't have an answer for you.
Gosh, dang, that's.
Next question.
Hold on, I'm answering one real quick and then.
You know what? I'm just gonna stick with Pacific Rim, like the first one.
And I'm going to go with Uprising.
Why?
To irritate
I
you.
refuse to see it.
That's why.
You haven't seen it?
No, because I
We
wanted.
could do a double feature tonight.
Deal.
He's going to watch Deathly Hollows with me tonight, I think. I don't know,
Which
maybe
is
he's not.
great. I've only seen part one.
Really? That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, wow.
It was
Who
incredible.
knew? Okay. It just says Titans.
We've already done that.
Okay.
You already asked literally that.
Well,
you said that too.
Maybe they just joined.
Yeah,
the
you
stream.
said Titans. It just says
So,
Titans is something you said earlier.
If you said Titans and
Sorry if
you're
I did.
just joining
I'm
the
sorry.
stream,
I didn't delete it.
we said Titans is kind of ambitious. You know, it could be a little more consistent in tone, as well as stop trying to be edgy too hard. But I like the direction they're going and incorporating characters like the Doom Patrol, which factor really heavily into Beast Boy's backstory.
All right, I got a couple quick ones that I got from earlier. Webboy asked, "What is your most disappointing film of the year thus far?" Predators or The Predator. The Predator. Predators came out 8 years
Told me
ago.
about this.
The Predator, that one. And I went to go see it while the babe, like literally, she's just came out of a humanectomy. A human emerged from her body, and I was like,
That's not
"I'm
true.
out of here. I'm going to the movies."
Not
and the
true.
movie I saw was The Predator. Have you gone to enough movies to be disappointed by something?
Man, like Hereditary was bad. I mean, scary, but actually, no, my bad. I'm getting off on a tangent. Worst film I've ever seen in my life was Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live-action
No,
film.
most disappointing this year.
Oh,
this year.
My bad. Yeah, because man,
Everyone. I've never seen it actually.
Did Suicide Squad come out this year?
No,
or
it came out 2 years ago. You're getting older. The years start to blend together.
Yeah, Justice League.
That was last year too.
What the crap?
It was last November.
Okay, I'm just gonna take a hard
So,
pass.
yeah,
I haven't
well,
seen enough to.
All right, another one real quick. Ty Guy 2464. If you could have any job in the film industry, what would you want?
Stuntman or MCU superhero.
That's actually pretty close to my answer. I would love to be cast, whether it's... I wouldn't want to be like Iron Man, where you're like in a CGI suit or something. But if it was like Captain America, like, hey, we're going to need you to go to the gym for the next 6 months and look like a superhero.
Yeah, and get
we're
paid
going
to
to
work
pay
out.
you, and we're going to have the best personal trainers. And when you're not lifting weights, we're going to have you in martial arts training, and you'll be shooting guns. And then you're going to go on screen, and you're going to be a superhero for a generation of people.
Yeah.
And it also, like, if you could, we'll let you borrow the suit, and you can go to hospitals and help kids and stuff like that. That are like,
So you thought this out.
But I'm adding a couple details to it. So whether it's that one or all the way back in the day, whenever I watched the special features for The Matrix, and you're watching Keanu Reeves like doing all this training and flipping stuff and shoot, I was like, that's the dream right there. That's amazing. I also like to write, and so if I could like I'd be like, I wouldn't want to. I don't think I'd want to direct someone else's story.
Yeah.
But the idea of telling a story that, and I don't even like to come up with like stories from scratch, but I could see myself working with some other people where I'd kind of work on the script and do something like that. So there's a different.
I've tried to. This is gonna sound super waxing poetic. I've tried to honestly come up as well as write a couple scripts for like comics and all that, just storyboarding. And I mean, a lot of characters I'd like to play in the MCU would be, honestly, this is gonna sound someone like Blade or even Miles Morales or his uncle Aaron Davis, the Prowler. But
Andy King for Marvel Netflix Blade.
Yeah.
I'm in.
If you guys want to,
Page, if you're on here, you heard it first.
Just you know, I have seen him with his shirt off.
Oh my word.
Many times.
Me too.
And he has got the physique. He has got the Wesley Snipes follow-up physique. I promise you that. All right, we got a super chat. Darth came and says, thoughts on the green parts with your figures. I think what you're referring to is
that's Man-Thing.
Man-Thing inside of these ones. If you can grab Daredevil over there. If you collect all of them, there's a Man-Thing inside of it. I don't like that they're in the packaging because then I want like my rocker Jessica Jones, I want him there, and having like a severed head or torso is kind of weird. Yeah. But so I'm not crazy about that. So I guess my short version is I'm not so crazy about those being inside of there. But I want to collect these other ones too, especially now that Bullseye's been added. Yeah. And this is one that throws me off.
Yeah.
You've got John Bernthal, Punisher. You got Elektra from Marvel Netflix. Jessica Jones, obviously. Bullseye, who we just added. Blade. I'm taking that as confirmation Blade is being added, starring Andy King III to the Marvel Netflix universe.
There was actually rumors that Wesley Snipes, after he got out of jail, was talking to.
Don't be Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, no promises. Yeah, there were some rumors that he was in fact talking to Marvel about reprising the role of Blade, and
I'm sure he was talking to them about that.
But, oh yeah, man, that makes me think about if I were in DC, I would want to be a Green Lantern John Stewart, or Duke Thomas, or Batwing. I've thought about this. Either way, yeah, John Henry Irons.
Okay, we're going to go for about 10 more minutes, so if you got definitely want a question answered through those super chats. If you've got some questions, just start re-asking them over and over like crazy. What do we... Real quick, let's try and fly through some of these real quick.
I'm making a list. I just have to go through the list. What book have you read that isn't currently planned to become a movie or show that you'd like to see adapted?
Wait, book or comic? Because I can do kind of
either. What did you read? You can change
both. It. You got one? Because
I read mostly nonfiction.
Yeah. So
the fiction that I read is normally because they're making a movie out of it. So I don't have any answers that kind of come to mind immediately. I'm not a big fiction reader person.
I'm gonna go with from a superhero. I was mentioning DC Black Label earlier, and this one that just came out, Batman White Knight just came out. I love it. It's this alternate take on Batman where the Joker is cured. Like basically Batman's unhinged. He force feeds the Joker a bunch of psychiatric pills, and the Joker returns to being Jack Napier, like just a cured, reformed Joker. And so he goes on a political war against Batman for all the damage he's caused to, for all the damage he's caused to Gotham over the years, and it works. He starts to turn people against Batman. He creates a unit within the Gotham Police Department for hunting Batman as well as vigilantes. Nightwing and Batgirl team up with the Gotham PD and like the Joker in essence. So it's incredible. If it got made into a movie, it'd be awesome. I'm trying to think of other books. Annihilation already got made. Michael, thank you for lending me that. I promise I'll get you your other books back. And there's just a lot. Ken Liu. I read a lot of Ken Liu short stories, as well as Georges Louis Borges. I can't pronounce his name, but there's a lot of like short sci-fi that I'd love to see adapted as well.
And A Wrinkle in Time. If they could do a version of A Wrinkle in Time that's based off the book.
Yeah, it's actually incredible that no Wrinkle in Time movie has come out.
Ever. You'd think that they would have made that into a movie by now. What do we got next?
I'm just sad. How was the Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse trailer?
Incredible.
How is the trailer?
What, did you not like the trailer, or...
I don't like the weirder trailers.
I mean, I like
where you really kind of understand what the movie is. Where there's all these different spider people that
Yeah.
are like weird versions. Like, I'm getting nervous at going too weird.
Well, and I mean, just as someone who, like, I love Elseworld, DC calls them Elseworlds, Spider-Man, I mean, Marvel will call them either just different universe. It's all different universes, comic universes. I love it all, and like just being able to like see these Spider-Men and know them. Like they even have a Spider, this like mecha Spider-Man that's like really anime influenced. That's written by, for all the My Chemical Romance fans, by Gerard Way. So he came up with that character because he actually writes for DC right now, but wrote for Marvel on and off. And he's actually the one who wrote Umbrella Academy, which is getting adapted to Netflix as well. But yeah, I mean, I just love seeing all these Spider-Man, like Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen.
Welcome to the Black Parade.
Yes, fantastic album. Top 10 album of all time. It's under American Pie by Don McLean on my list of 10 albums of all time.
What movies do you dislike that are commonly enjoyed? Sean's would be Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah. Hey.
But it's always tough for me because
teasing.
there's other
like
people
it,
that dislike it too. Like, it's not like I'm alone.
No,
There's a
I
lot
know.
of people in the same category as me.
No, you know what? There's a real easy one. Suicide Squad. There's like a lot of people who seem to like Suicide Squad, like, and I don't get it.
There's DC
This is
fanboys.
reverse of that. What movie do you like that lots of people don't
Oh,
like?
Pacific
Oh.
Rim.
Right? Isn't
like,
that what I just
But
said?
people like Pacific Rim.
Do they? Because every time I've talked to one of my friends about it,
Oh,
they're
no,
like,
you're right. It was the other way. It was
But
what
that's
movies do you hate that other
have they
people
not
like?
heard of it or they hate it?
oh, I mean, like I mildly forced all my friends in college to watch Pacific Rim with me like one night, and no, I enjoyed it. They didn't.
But if you're in the movie universe, they like it. People like Pacific Rim,
Yeah.
and that's where they're like, "What? No Guillermo del Toro returning?" But if you force people to watch, a movie about kaiju and things like that,
That's
they won't.
on
It's not
them.
necessarily.
If you're in a room with me for longer than 10 minutes, I'm either talking about I don't know, clothes, comics, or Pacific Rim. So my bad. But thanks, guys.
What's my answer, Jennifer?
I just told you.
What was it?
Guardians of the
Guardians-
Galaxy 2.
I just
It's
don't.
the most common one that we hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It goes back to, it's the same thing as before of like, I just think through all the people I know of that are in the same category as me. They agree with me. There's a lot of people that are like, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, this is a weird direction to go. This is,
You don't have to convince me.
so it's tough. I am actively trying to make a video out of that question and have been for a long time because people ask me all the time. I think the video would do well. It'd be a fun conversation. I just can't come up with a list, I'm trying.
I'm trying to think if there's one that like I can't think of one immediately. That's a really
I think of things like, and some of it's the way I watch movies, going back to things I've said before, but like The Shining. I'm not crazy about The Shining.
That's fair.
But it's not like I don't understand why people would think it's a cool movie.
Yeah.
It's like things like that, or like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. I don't hate these movies, but I don't hate very many things other than Alien 3.
It's true.
And so I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
I don't watch movies and be like, oh, Slenderman, I hate this. I was like, no, Slenderman's not good, but I don't hate it.
Actually, maybe what's that one came up, The Void or whatnot, with all that crazy body horror and stuff like that. It was like a kind of indie. I think it was The Void. It was this indie kind of horror movie with like practical body horror effects. I mean, it was like cool practical effects, kind of horrifying, but like not that great of a movie.
All right, I grabbed a movie. I had to give an answer, so we're going with Skyfall.
Agreed.
Skyfall, I hate it. It's the worst.
I don't hate it. It's just very there for me. It's like, okay, I liked Javier Bardem in it, but
I just thought the actor that they cast was terrible.
What,
I liked the guy they
Craig?
had in Casino Royale, and then they got a new Bond for Skyfall, and so the whole thing just threw me off.
that's not. Never mind.
And they made it a comedy. It was like suddenly like a spoof of the genre.
Yeah.
And they were in space the whole time, and then
You're
Thanos
not
showed.
talking about Skyfall.
Oh, well, I was trying to have an answer. So what do we got next? Just a few more questions, and we'll close this out because we need our beef with broccoli.
Yes, thank you so much, Jen.
You're welcome. What movie are you most looking forward to in 2019?
Avengers 4.
Avengers 4 right now, but I've got a list of films that are also coming out. Like, I really can't wait to see the Hellboy reboot. I know. I like that character.
I haven't seen the first two.
Okay.
Ever.
You just need to see the first one.
Really?
The second one isn't.
That is not what I've heard.
It's a movie.
I haven't heard this. Is this like
I don't
common perspective?
Oh,
or just
maybe that's. I don't know. Maybe that's. Oh,
maybe, is this yours?
I don't like the second Hellboy. I feel like it kind of like drags at some points. It lampoons the character a little bit. No.
So whenever we're a couple weeks out, I'm gonna watch them leading up to. So maybe those could be our Saturday movie nights.
Yes.
Maybe you'll like it a little bit more on rewatching.
That's a good point.
But I mean, there's a ton of good ones coming out. Avengers 4, Star Wars 9. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I wasn't a Last Jedi fan, but I'm not anti Star Wars or anything. John Wick 3.
Oh yeah.
We got Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I keep forgetting that's coming out in 2019.
Shazam!
Oh yeah.
So there's a bunch of things that are interesting.
We've got so many questions still.
Let's try and if we can just.
I know.
Rapid.
Favorite Funko Pop?
Moon Knight.
You know the right answer, Chandler.
Oh wait, my bad. I've got a Daredevil bobblehead that my friend Prescott gave me. That one's awesome.
Prescott has a lot of tattoos. This one, of course, the sexy reclining Jeff.
I think
Goldblum.
it's injured. I think it's the injured. No, I think that's
No,
because he's
that
like
is
shirtless.
No, I know, but
They misspelled the word
sexy.
sexy. Then
Okay.
Very
is what
sexual.
happened.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
I'm. Yeah.
And he's making bedroom eyes.
Favorite candy?
Jelly bellies.
Cocaine.
Oh my word! Do you think
Black tar heroin.
You
that's
can't-
not candy?
Oh,
Actually, there's this
maybe not for you guys.
There's this energy drink called cocaine that I went on I was searching for it for an entire
they're
summer.
for you. Do you think DVDs or Blu-rays will die?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean
we're
every
going-
format dies.
We're going to enter an age of binary computing where we start to transfer media with our minds.
Interesting.
So,
I mean, every medium dies. So VHS tapes, this is incredible until you see a DVD, and then suddenly it's not so great. And then DVDs are great, and you're like, wow, how could you ever get better than this? And then Blu-rays come along. I mean, even 10 years ago, I didn't think we'd ever get an HD TV because I was like, what's even the point? These DVDs look so good.
Well,
and then you figure out, no, they don't. And here we are 10 years later. We've got this next level of 4K, and there's literal debates on the internet. Can humans even see in 4K?
Well, and that's the thing is, I mean, yeah, like you said, every technological medium or whatnot is going to have like a time where it passes and like a huge transitional period. But I think it's just because the technology is so ubiquitous, like it's hard to imagine what it's going to look like after that. Plus, I mean, Blu-rays have a very high capacity. If they can also fit 4K on them now, they're going to have a long life cycle.
Yeah, so I think physical medium will always exist because there's people that just always like to have something in your hand. At the same time, the streaming where technology's at, where you're getting over the internet, is also, it's going to shrink. It's going to be a niche thing, kind of like the way there's people that love vinyl still. What do we got next? Somebody's going to fly
Are
through.
you making an updated Harry Potter movie ranking with the release of Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah, next Saturday. There's a new feature on YouTube called Premieres, where you can. I'll have a chat like this one you're in right now that'll be open like 15 minutes before the video premieres, and then when it debuts, I'll be there in the chat board talking. So I haven't used this feature yet. I'm planning on debuting, premiering next Saturday. I'm thinking it's going to be next Saturday at 9 or 10 a.m. I'll announce it Central Time. I'll announce it in advance, but yes, of course, that's, I always do that. I like to keep my rankings always up to date because they're evergreen content that people they watch at any point in time. They discover my channel, they go, what does he think about the Harry Potter movies? And they check it out. And so that's why I update them constantly and whenever there's a new version, because I always want them to be fresh and up to date. And then that's the whole line of thinking behind all of it. But it'll be next Saturday. I'm seeing the movie on Wednesday, which is going to make it so it's much easier for me to get that out by that Saturday. And I want to do a premiere on it. So if you can join me, I'll be in the chat board. Hey guys, what are you thinking?
Thoughts on Slenderman?
It's terrible. It's awful. I saw it with Zach.
Really?
Yeah,
Morris?
Zach. Yeah, Saved by the Bell and I. We go. He only goes to horror movies.
Okay.
Like that's like he's always like, oh, have you seen him? Heard about Slender Man? Like it looks awful. Let's go see it. So yeah, I saw it with him and it was awful. And
How do you enjoy living in Texas?
Awesome.
It's where I don't know why people live elsewhere.
Best country.
It is. It's a. It's the best of the nations.
Will you rank Home Alone?
I'll probably do the 3 theatrical ones. I don't know that I want to watch the 2 direct made-for-TV movies.
Well, those are also the only 3 canonical Home Alones in the Home Alone cinematic universe.
Yes, that's that apocryphal stuff. I don't think I'll do that, but I'll probably do the 3 actual cinematic released in theater ones in December. Probably. I bought 1 and 2 a couple days ago on Blu-ray.
Which is better, How to Train Your Dragon or Kung Fu Panda?
I haven't really seen Kung Fu Panda.
I've
I
only
thought we
seen.
just watched it.
I kind of watched it. I wasn't really watching.
I've only seen the first one of each. Dang it, this is hard because Jack Black voiced the panda, and
That's true.
I really freaking like dragons and Nordic culture.
And Jerry Butler is the dad in there.
I'm gonna go with How to Train Your Dragons. I love dragons and Vikings, so not to say
I
Kung Fu
too will
Panda,
go
so
with the Lorax on this one.
Yep.
All right.
All the Lorax is still.
Did you watch The Haunting of the Hill
Nope.
House on Netflix?
I'm still recovering from watching Hereditary, so I'm on a turn
Riley was like going off on how great it is on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I
he
mean,
was very
everyone-
excited about it.
Everyone says it's good. Like everyone says it's great, but like once again, I've been like looking under the bed ever since I watched Hereditary. So
And I have been totally unaffected since watching Hereditary.
yeah, I got my own thoughts on that, but I can't say them on a YouTube stream.
What is your prediction for Creed 2?
Rocky dies.
Right before a fight?
Oh
Oh my word.
Okay. I've got a theory. In Creed 2, Michael B. Jordan is returning more jacked than ever. He just looks good. Lean, mean fighting machine. Beautiful man. Either way, that's my prediction for Creed 2.
But that's why Milo Vistamicalici is coming back is for the funeral.
Whoa. That's harsh.
I just got so depressed.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Gosh.
I didn't ask the question, but I
gosh.
couldn't lie to you guys that I'm feeling he might die, and that some of that stuff we're seeing in the trailer.
Yeah.
Visions.
Well, it'd also be it'd be a good cutoff point for the I guess Rocky cinematic universe. So I don't know.
I think suspect there might be 2 fights with Drago Jr.
Like a loss
and
then
a loss and then a comeback, and they're like, you can't do this.
Well, and that's actually a theory I've heard, right? Because at the end of Creed, the first Creed, I think, or whatnot, a storyline is that his girlfriend's losing her hearing or is deaf, and he's learning sign language. So I think Drago Jr. is gonna break his hands or something so he can't sign.
Oh my.
That's something I've heard.
This is so sad.
What?
Sadness
is a part of life.
You watched Rocky 5 last night. Nothing is sadder than Rocky 5.
Yeah. Wait, Rocky 4 was Drago, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then Rocky 5 is the one where,
best movie of all time.
and then he's in a street fight in the next one. He goes poor. He has brain damage. He's dumber than ever.
How is that the boss fight? Just a swing fight.
And then they get in a fight in the streets, and Rocky does a cool spin roll throwdown.
Gosh. Yeah, because that's a legal boxing move. But
What's a street fight?
it's true.
Can you do best episodes in each season for all the Netflix MCU shows?
No.
I mean,
They're not meant to be done. They're not really meant to be viewed that way. They're meant to be binged, and so it's part of my answer is because you binge watch the seasons, and so sometimes people are like, can you rank the episodes of Stranger Things? I don't think the show's meant to be watched that way, so I wouldn't want to do that.
Well, to be fair, the short answer is that any episode in Daredevil with a fight scene ranks above top 10 of the entire MCU Netflix series. Gosh, those fight scenes are freaking dope. Love them.
Super chat. Do you see it?
Oh, let's close that on this one. Okay.
Well, just
Shadow with Glasses, can you give me a short shout out for my channel? And a short question is, what do you think will happen to the DCU if Aquaman fails? So, shout out, Shadow with Glasses. He's got a channel. Click on over there, check it out, see if you like it. What do I think will happen to the DCU if Aquaman fails? I don't know, because after... You can't have too much bigger of a disappointment than what happened with Justice League.
Right.
Because critics didn't like it, and with how much or how little money it made for being Justice League, Batman's in there. Suicide Squad opened, 75% more? Because Justice League was right around 100 million. Suicide Squad. Well, the villains opened to 175-ish or something like that.
And what did Fantastic open with or whatever?
That was like 30 million. So that was epically bad.
Okay, just making sure. I thought it did worse than that. I mean
it's
Justice League. I thought Justice League did worse than that.
No. I mean, it's in that category of it's not. It's not unbelievably. It's not a bomb.
Right.
But in regards to what. I don't think a movie starring Batman and Superman can open that low. I just don't think it can because there's just too many people that like these characters that will go see it. But when it comes to disappointment of oh wow, I can't believe how little money this made in this current era.
I'm just I'm writing that down. Shadow with glasses. I'm gonna sub as soon as we get off this. We got one or two more questions.
Yeah, I always say
I have
1 minute or something. But
I have one I want to ask because I know where it will go.
But so then,
am I about to go off?
But so I don't think you can disappoint more than that. But 2 disappointments in a row, that's not good.
Well, and here's the other thing that people don't get. I mean, I understand it. I like seeing comic book accurate costumes and all that, but the problem is people don't understand. One, they're just not functional, right? I mean, you see stuff like the Daredevil suit in the MCU series, and it makes sense. It's very functional, and it's not as accurate to the comic as people would like. But then the more you wax on the comics, in these movies, the more fantastical it gets, and it starts to have less of an identity in and of itself as a movie. So I love that people want these to be true to the comics and all that, but when they go too far, it just has less of an originality to it, in my opinion.
All right, so what are our closeout questions?
Okay, well, we'll probably just do the one because it's going to turn into a little bit of a story. But I just want to say we've got a bunch of questions. Thank y'all for participating and asking questions, but it's very unusual or unlikely that we're going to get to all of the questions. I still have a ton. I did write them down. I know some of you are like, ask my question. We're working on it, but please keep coming back and asking.
What some of you guys don't realize is that sometimes we don't. You come in a little later and ask a question we've already answered.
That's true too.
Sometimes you ask a question that we've been I've talked about in other Q&As and can you rank the Walking Dead seasons and stuff like that I've already answered that. I haven't seen all the seasons. And so there's a number of different reasons that sometimes she doesn't ask your question.
It's because
it's not to be mean. She might know that I don't have an answer to it. Or she knows I haven't seen a movie or something like that. So it's not that we're trying to slight you.
Right.
We wish that we could give everyone a good answer to your question. But even before this started, I had 40 questions preloaded from a little post I made before we started this. So we just get a lot of questions. It just makes it tough. And we're long-winded. So,
yes.
What do we got?
Okay. So this is, if you want to answer this, you can. But you have been asked this. But... has there been a movie that you've ever walked out on?
I think I've walked out of 3 movies.
I'm a sucker for pain. I've never walked out on a movie because I want my money.
What about that Batman movie with what's his face? I can't think. My brain is dead. We were at the IMAX.
Oh, what, Michael?
And Andy.
Well, that wasn't a walkout. I just had to use the bathroom.
Yeah, so we went to go see, the story we mentioned before about going to go see The Dark Knight Rises. And, at the Bob Bullock IMAX, it's at this massive IMAX.
Yes,
it's the
very prolific theater.
And you're in the movie. Andy's dressed as Bane, mask and everything. He's taking pictures with people before all the movie started. And then you get to the end of it, and Bane's army and the police are charging towards each other.
I said I was sorry.
And Andy walked out of the movie.
From the middle of the...
No! Let me give my side of the story. I had to use the bathroom. Okay, I worked all night making this awesome cosplay mask. It's why people wanted to take pictures, right? And then, how do you stay up all night? You drink 4 to 6 monsters back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And then I had to hydrate because, I had drank all those monsters. So that all culminates me in getting out, unload in the bathroom. It's just not fair.
From the center
of
the IMAX.
I came back and I watched it. I finished. It was a great movie. I'm not the bad guy here.
For me, I went in high school on a date with a girl that I met at church to go see American Psycho.
Great movie.
As it turns out, church girls going to go see American Psycho involving, a guy murdering girls he takes on dates.
Yeah, murdering prostitutes.
At least multiple prostitutes, orgy sequences. As it turns out,
I thought it was a little tame.
Not the best date material for that particular audience of human being.
I mean, to be fair, I watched Spider-Man 3 with a girl, so...
Basically the same
Yeah,
thing.
right.
So, there you have it. That's the ones that we have walked out of. Andy ran out of The Dark Knight Rises, and I went on a date to go see a movie
I
about
am
a
not
serial killer.
I am not a bad person.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing, all that fun stuff. Getting us to 70,000 subscribers. That is just amazing. Hopefully the best is yet to come. Whatever that might look like. Maybe that's his channel surpassing my channel. We're about to go shoot a demo video for the theoretical Andy King channel. And we'll talk to you guys.
Wait. Also, once again, shout out to Shadow with Glasses. We see you in the super chat.
Talk to you later. And Jennifer, you got to say bye.
Oh, bye.